Hi, my loves. Welcome back to Living in Alignment with Madeline Hope. I'm really excited for this episode because this week feels like a very real shift forward. And honestly, after the exhaustion, frustration, and in between energy that I've been feeling lately, that sounds really good to me. I don't necessarily feel like this week is adding anything else to our plate. It's more like it's rearranging things. And personally, I'm very ready for that. I've been sitting with my misalignments long enough and just overthinking everything to absolute death. I've been feeling where things aren't working, where I'm unhappy, where things just feel off. And I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, can we just do something about this now? And that's exactly what this week feels like. If you listened to last week's episode, we talked about the Libra full moon bringing awareness to what's out of balance. And then the energy got deeper and more internal as the moon moved through Scorpio over Easter weekend. That was the realization phase. This week is what happens after you've already seen the truth. This is where things start to move, but how they move depends on how honest you are with yourself. That Scorpio moon really forced us into our truth and showed us where we're unhappy in our lives, relationships, and routines. So hopefully by now you're aware of what that was. And if you're anything like me, you probably overthought it to absolute death. But I'm happy to report that this week feels like when we finally start getting some answers instead of just more questions. We're coming off of a last quarter moon in Capricorn on Thursday, April 9th, and we're moving towards a new moon in Aries on April 17th, which is Friday. And to give you a visual of what this looks like, the last quarter moon is like viewing your life from a bird's eye view and asking, okay, what actually works here and what doesn't? It's not dramatic or emotional, it's just honest. Capricorn energy doesn't care about what you wish worked. It cares about what is actually sustainable, structured, and real. If you've been listening to this for the past few episodes, you've heard me talk about Mr. Father of the Zodiac Capricorn. This energy isn't warm or gentle, it's calculated, a bit cold, and very practical. Last month on March 18th, we had a new moon in Pisces, which was very emotional, very intuitive, very, this is what I feel like I need. And that energy is important because it shows you what you want. But Capricorn comes in and says, okay, but what are you actually going to do with that? It grounds it, it tests it, it makes it real. Like, I know you had this urge to take up graffiti as a hobby, but how does that realistically fit into your life? With your routine, with your finances? Is that actually going to fill the gap that you were looking for? So, the beginning of this week isn't about starting something new yet. It's about editing. It's about being honest about what's draining you, what you've outgrown, what doesn't fit in your future, what you've been tolerating, and what you deep down know you can't carry forward anymore. Because you can't start a chapter while still trying to hold on to something that doesn't fit. Right after that heavy, fatherly, hard truth we receive, the moon moves into Aquarius on Friday night. So you may feel a little detached, observant, like you're zooming out and seeing your life from a bigger perspective over the weekend. That is absolutely perfect because Capricorn just gave you some really real and maybe brutal or harsh realizations. You're going to want to sit with that information, possibly retreat a little, which is very Aquarius. And Aquarius also brings unique perspectives and ideas. It lights up your mind and asks, okay, well, graffiti didn't fit into my life. You're right. But what if I start doing airbrush on t-shirts and clothing and fabric instead. That's that outside of the box, but still logical thinking that can help you process a way to adjust what wasn't working. Then on Monday, the moon moves into Pisces. And this is where things can feel a little confusing, emotional, overwhelming, and a little like you're feeling everything at once but can't fully explain it. But this is important because this isn't about you being lost. This is about being in between clarity and action. Pisces brings back emotion full force to allow you to not just think this through, but to also feel it. Because once you've thought through it logically and then you fully feel it, that's where you finally gain the confidence to turn it into action. You can't have aligned action without both structure and emotion. And action comes when we hit our Aries new moon later in the week, which I'll discuss later in this podcast. Okay, so the moon moves into Pisces on Monday, but we also have a massive transit happening on Monday as well, which is Mars conjuncting Neptune in Aries. Many of you know that Aries is the sign of movement and radical change, but I want to explain how Neptune is affecting this because it changes the energy quite significantly, and I want to make sure you understand what it means. So, to put this in terms you can feel, Mars is ruled by Aries, so both of them mean action, drive, forward movement. Neptune is dreams, intuition, illusion, and also confusion. So when these come together, it can feel like you have a strong urge. You feel pulled, you want change, you want movement, but you're not fully clear on what that actually looks like yet. This is where people can either do one of two things: follow a deep intuitive pull, or act impulsively just to escape what they're feeling. And those are not the same thing and do not have the same result. So, with Neptune conjuncting this, it's not necessarily telling you not to move or make any decisions, but rather to ask yourself first, are you moving from truth or are you moving to avoid something? That's the difference. And if you're moving because you feel called to it and you can't fully explain it, but you just know you need to, then go, move, jump even. But if you're like, I thought about it, and if I'm really being honest, I just want to stop feeling like this. I just want to make this move so that I can move. Then take a minute to breathe and wait a bit longer for clarity to come your way because it will, I promise. Also on Monday, we have Venus in Taurus forming a sextile with Jupiter in Cancer, as well as forming a semi-square with Neptune in Aries. So what all of that means is there's also this really soft, open-hearted energy in relationships early in the week. So you might feel more loving, more connected, or even more open. But there's also a slight blur to it because of Neptune once again. So just be aware of idealizing people, ignoring red flags, or just convincing yourself something feels right just because it feels good in the moment. You can feel deeply connected and still stay grounded in reality. The difference is just staying aware. Then on Wednesday, April 15th, everything truly starts to shift. Finally, when Mercury moves from Pisces into Aries. And this is where your mind goes from, I feel everything, but I can't explain it, to, okay, this is what I'm doing. And I don't know about you guys, but that excites the hell out of me. I say as an Aquarius, I'm really tired of feeling, but not having words for what exactly I'm feeling. It's been quite literally driving me nuts, although I know it's for my own good because without these heavy transits, I wouldn't grow. I'd probably just spend my entire life in the same unfulfilling routines, avoiding that they're not what I need anymore. So I give credit to Mercury and Pisces because although you've made articulating my thoughts into anything rational or logical lately, I forgive you because I do truly feel a lot more in touch with how I actually feel about things more than I normally do. This week, rest assured that clarity doesn't come from overthinking. Thank God, right? It comes from deciding. You might notice you're more direct, you're more honest, you're less willing to sit in confusion, and you just want to move forward. This is a really important turning point. And to make this energy that much louder, the same day Mercury moves into Aries, so does the moon. So not only are your thoughts going to be more direct and honest, but so are your feelings. Emotionally, things get louder, more reactive, more energized. You may feel more impatient and more ready for change. And then the following day, Thursday, April 16th, we have three major things happening at once. We have Sun conjunct Chiron, we have Mars sextiling Pluto, and we have Mercury conjunct Neptune. This is very deep. So the Sun conjunct Chiron is where you become aware of something within yourself that has felt like a wound, and this will most likely show up as some type of insecurity you have, especially around being seen, expressing yourself, trusting yourself, or feeling like you're allowed to take up space. But here's the thing, this isn't coming to break you. It's coming up so you can lead yourself differently. This is giving you the information to become who you need to be for your dreams to come true. That's so powerful, so don't be scared of this. It's giving you exactly what you need to move forward. So if around Thursday, Friday even, maybe even Wednesday night, you notice some big insecurities come up, it's probably not random. A lot of people think that, well, I was feeling insecure because this happened. It's not because something in the universe, because it was because this person did this and that made me feel insecure. And it's like, right, how else is the universe supposed to make you feel insecure? It doesn't just come out of nowhere. You're not just sitting by yourself doing nothing and all of a sudden start to feel insecure most of the time. It's triggered by something. The universe triggers you somehow. So don't think it's random if you have an insecurity that comes up around late next week. That is you being asked to assess that place of life. Maybe it's you need to reevaluate a relationship. Maybe you just need to set better boundaries. Maybe you need to be more confident. And it's just as simple as that. But yeah. So that is the Sun conjunct Chiron story and kind of what that looks like. And then at the same time, Mars is sextiling Pluto, and that's giving you actual power. This isn't fake motivation or something fleeting. This is raw ambition and drive. The kind where if you decide to do something, you can actually follow through with it. And then we have Mercury conjunct Neptune, which is bringing in intuition, creativity, and deeper insight. But again, it's Neptune, so it can blur things if you're not grounded. So just make sure to stay really aware of your thoughts and think before you act this week, because Neptune is really forcing us to stay aware of our why before leaping into things. Neptune doesn't confuse us to frustrate us, it's to give us clearer insight or to force us to find it. Because alignment doesn't come from action, but from aligned action. The best way I can expand on this is like whenever you go to the gym, you can show up and throw weight around and leave and not really see or feel much benefit from it. But then someone could go to the gym for half of the amount of time that you do, but go in with their why, such as they go in knowing I go to the gym to gain mental toughness, physical strength, and emotional regulation. That person, I guarantee you, is going to see and feel a significant amount more progress, even though technically they may not have put forth as much action. Action just kind of floats without clear intention behind it. So, Neptune is forcing us to get really clear on our whys this week. So, on Thursday, it'll probably feel like deep emotional truth, real power, and intuitive insight, which is a lot. So, don't rush it. Don't fill your to do list and don't put a bunch of pressure on yourself to perform on this day. Instead, give yourself some space to reflect and gather yourself, especially because the following day we have our new moon in Aries. My favorite way to explain astrology is like a weather forecast. So, to use those terms, Thursday looks like a rainy day. Friday looks like a high of 80 and sunny. So, rather than pack Thursday full of errands and things to do and be battling with rain the whole time, move those things to Friday and use Thursday as a day to prepare. Friday is your reset point. This is where everything you've been feeling, processing, and realizing turns into, okay, this is what I'm choosing. But this isn't a random new beginning. This is a very intentional one because you've already seen what's not working. You've felt what needs to shift. You've processed it emotionally and you've been asked to get honest with yourself. So now the question is, what are you actually ready to start for real? Not what sounds good, not what looks good, not what you wish you could commit to. What are you actually ready to show up for consistently? And I want to quickly walk you through where this new beginning is showing up for you based on your rising sign. Just so you understand where I'm getting my information for this, I'll explain this a bit first. So we have our new moon in Aries on Friday, but we also have a total of like 7 planets that will be in Aries this month. So this theme is really the theme of all of April and even some of March and some of May as well. This will affect you differently depending on where Aries is in your chart, which is referred to as your houses in astrology. There are 12 houses, and each house represents a different part of life. The first house is your identity, your appearance, first impression, and your personality. And your first house is determined by your rising sign. So if you're a Taurus rising, that means your first house is ruled by Taurus, and that determines the placements of the rest of your houses. So then your second house is ruled by Gemini, which is the following sign. Then your third house is ruled by Cancer, and so on. If you're wanting to know about your chart specifically, I go over all of this in depth in my personal astrology readbacks. You can learn more about that at my website, which is madelinehope.com. Okay, so I'm going to go in order of rising signs all the way from Aries to Pisces. Feel free to listen to your sun and moon sign as well, as sometimes those do hold some truth to it as well. Okay, so starting with Aries risings, this is a full reset for you. This new moon and this entire Aries season is activating your identity, your energy, how you show up, how people see you, how you see yourself. This is like shedding an old version of yourself and stepping into a new one. but not in a dramatic, I'm becoming a whole new person kind of way. More like you're finally allowing yourself to be who you already are. So if you've been feeling the urge to change something about yourself, your routine, your look, your energy, this new moon is your moment. Pay close attention to what themes are coming up this week about your appearance, your identity, your presence, and figure out exactly who you want to show up as in this next season of life. And then whenever that new moon comes around, make it happen. Hello, fellow Taurus risings. This is a really internal reset. This is happening in your 12th house. So this is healing, releasing, closing out cycles, and honestly just needing space. As a Taurus rising, I know firsthand how much space is important for me on a daily basis. But this new moon is about to make it that much louder and more important. Where have we been neglecting our need for rest, relaxation, comfort, and just time with nature? I've been feeling the urge to ground myself so deeply. Like, I just keep picturing myself piling dirt on top of me. Like, I just keep telling everybody, I just want to lay in grass. I was driving home from work last week, I think on Friday, and I just kept looking at like lawns and being like, I want to lay in that. I actually booked a camping trip earlier this week because I've just felt such a strong need to unplug and step away from society and pressure and just be in nature and in myself. Aries is so activated right now, so if you're feeling just super exhausted and wanting to isolate, that's not you being antisocial or lazy. This is literally your 12th house at work. You are being called to come into yourself and work on this area of life. So don't resist it. You might need more rest. You might need to pull your energy back from something, even if it's something that's your passion and you like doing it. But for some reason, right now, it's like exhausting. You might just need to not give it your all right now or take a break from it. We are not in a season where we are supposed to externally be pushing and creating and changing. This is a very internal, very, this is the most internal house. This is all internal. So this is not a month for performance. We might need to let go of something quietly. We don't have to explain it or to just process things that we haven't fully dealt with yet. That's a big 12th house theme. And I want you to trust that just because it's not visible doesn't mean it's not important. This is like preparing the soil before you plant something new. Aries season is all about movement, but for us, this doesn't look as external as majority of people. I don't want you to resist inner work because it doesn't look as impressive or validating as what others may be doing. You'll have your time to shine, but this internal work is necessary and needed for you. So consider this my stamp of approval to be a little antisocial, to rest a bit more, and to just sit with yourself longer than usual. We are in this together. Hello, Gemini risings. This is happening in your 11th house of friendships, your community, your audience, education, and your future vision. So, this could look like new friendships coming in, outgrowing certain people, feeling called to put yourself out there more, or just getting clearer on the kind of life you actually want to build. So invite the new friend for coffee. Go try out a place you haven't been to before. Attend a local event. Unadd old connections on social media. If you've been having a lot of thoughts regarding anything to do with your friends, social media, community, or just wanting to learn something new, that is not random. You're being asked to act in this area of life. This is also very much your online presence house. So if you've been wanting to post more, share more, or step into a bigger version of yourself publicly, this is your green light. Hi, Cancer risings. This is your 10th house of career, ambition, legacy, and your calling. This is about how you're seen, what you're building, what you'll be known for. This is a big one. You might feel a strong urge to pivot, take something more seriously, go after something, or step into more leadership. And it might feel a little scary because this is very visible. People are going to see this change. But this is where you're meant to be seen differently. This is my boyfriend, Edward. If you're listening, I love you. This is his rising, so I'm very intrigued to see how this comes to play for him because this is big. Having your house of career and ambition in Aries means you're not meant to live shy or small in this area of life in your career. If you've been considering making a big change or move, especially in regards to your career, now is the time. Hello, Leo risings. This is your 9th house of expansion. Leos, this is your beliefs, your mindset, your perspective, travel, learning, teaching. This is like your world is getting bigger. You might feel called to learn something new, share your knowledge, travel, or just break out of routine that's been feeling too small. This is about trusting that there is more for you and being willing to go for it. Have you been thinking about booking a trip outside the country? Or maybe thinking of going to school or signing up for a new course? This is not random. This area of your chart is activated and it is asking you to act on it. Hi, Virgo risings. This is deep for you guys. This is happening in your 8th house. So, this is intimacy, vulnerability, trust, shared energy, and transformation. This is not surface level change. This season is asking for some pretty intense things of you. This is about emotional depth, facing something real, letting someone in, or just letting go of control in some way. This could also be about shared finances or resources. But more than anything, this is about how deeply you're willing to connect and transform. This Aries season may look a lot more internal than others, and that's okay. This internal work will make for drastic change in the external for sure. Lean into depth and the heaviness. The universe is asking for you to show up here. Hello, Libra risings. I love this season for you because this is in your 7th house of relationships. Libra risings, you are known to come across very attractive, flirty, and just appealing. Dating is usually a big theme for you guys, but this season it's becoming even bigger. This new moon is activating themes around your partnerships, your commitments, the people you're choosing, and the people choosing you. This is a reset in how you show up in relationships. So, this could look like a new relationship, a shift in an existing one, setting boundaries, or realizing what you actually need from others. This is about balance, but real balance, not just keeping the peace. Is your partner matching your energy or efforts? Are you giving too much away and not receiving the same in return? Or are you checked out of a relationship and just holding on to it? You've likely been having some thoughts and feelings around the relationships you're choosing, and this full moon is asking you to act on it. Hello, Scorpio risings. This is your sixth house of routines, your habits, your health, your day to day life. This is unglamorous stuff, but it's actually everything because this is where your life is built. So, this might look like changing your routine, getting more consistent, taking better care of your body, or just restructuring your days. This is less about big dramatic change and more about what are you doing every single day. Have you been thinking a lot about your health, your habits, your schedule? That's not random. This can come across as normal since it's literally day to day normal things, but these thoughts and feelings aren't random for you. The universe is asking you to gather clarity on how you're spending your day and your energy, how you're treating your body, and make the necessary adjustments on this new moon on Friday. Hi, Sagittarius risings. This is happening in your fifth house, which is so fun. This is your joy, your creativity, your self expressions, your passions, your fun, your romance. This is you coming back to yourself. You might feel called to create more, express yourself more, date, flirt, or just do things that make you feel alive again. This is about letting life feel good, not just productive. Maybe you've been really focusing more on responsibility, finances, career, your health. Well, now is not the time to focus on that. If you're feeling called to let loose a bit more or just have fun, do it. This isn't you being irresponsible or immature. This is you being asked to connect more with life in a way that feels truly enjoyable and fun. Plan something fun to do on this new moon on Friday, April 17th, or that weekend. Go on a date, paint a canvas, doodle in your notebook, dance, laugh, flirt, and just do things that make you feel alive. Hi, Capricorn risings. This is happening in your fourth house, which is home, foundation, and your inner world. This is your private life, your family, your assets like your car, your home, and your foundational security. So, this could look like changes in your living situation, focusing more on your home environment, reconnecting with family, or just needing to feel more grounded and secure. This is about your base because if your foundation isn't solid, nothing else feels right. If you've been having unavoidable thoughts about your living situation or feeling of security, you're being called to make a change here. The new moon wants you to act in this area of life based on what you've been realizing. Hi, Aquarius risings. This is happening in your third house, which is your voice. This is your communication, your thoughts, your mindset, what you're saying, what you're sharing. This is a big one for content, speaking, writing, expressing. You might feel like you have more to say, you're thinking differently, you want to share your perspective more. This is about owning your voice and actually using it. What have you been thinking a lot about but not vocalizing? What have you been building that hasn't been shared? What story are you ready to tell? This new moon is saying, now is the time to speak up. Don't be shy. And finally, Hello to my Pisces risings. This is happening in your second house. This is your money, your values, your stability, and your self-worth. This is about what you're building for yourself. So this could look like new income opportunities, getting more serious about your finances, raising your standards, or realizing your worth in a deeper way. This is about creating something that actually supports you, not just emotionally, but physically and financially. If money has been heavily on your mind, that's because you're being asked to handle it differently. Around this new moon, doing things like exploring a new career, asking for a raise, updating your budget, or maybe just defining your worth may seem very relevant to you. Lean into it. Okay, so in summary, this week is not about having everything figured out. It's about being honest enough with yourself to take the next right step. And trust me, you're not being asked to move in an area of life that hasn't been heavy on your mind. This is something that has probably been loud and heavy for at least a little while. You don't need a perfect plan. You need alignment, and alignment does not come from overthinking. It comes from being willing to move in the direction that you know is right, even if it's uncomfortable. I will be back next Friday giving you the energy of the week following this new moon, which just amps up the energy even more. But until then, stay grounded.